Hey there, Blockhead Traders. Here at Blockhead Traders, I must inform you that we are not financial professionals. Nothing we say should be considered financial advice. We offer our own thoughts and opinions to you, the viewer. We expect you to take these opinions, form your own financial conclusions, and make your own financial decisions. This is Blockhead Traders for the week of October 12th, 2025. And in this week's episode, I'm joined by fellow Blockhead trader viperxl007, and we are going to do a quick rapid fire update on a couple of recent trades that we've got going. I am going to follow up from last week's episode where I touched on STZ, Constellation Brands. That was an earnings trade that is actually said and done by the time of this recording. So I'll let you know how that panned out and show it to you on the chart. And I believe Viper is going to touch on his daily SPY trade and how that's been going for him this past week. But before we hop to that, I want to give a shout out to the Discord, a link in the description below. You can hop in there, say hello to myself, Viper, some of the other Blockhead traders. Love to hear what you're trading, love to hear what type of content you want to hear about. Also, you can find a link to thetagang.com/sprocket888, where I post each and every one of my equity trades, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Finally, this is available in an audio-only format wherever you get your podcasts. So look us up, subscribe, and if you can't find it there, let us know, and we will get it there. But let's hop to this week's content. Viper, welcome back to the show this week. And it's been a really, really busy week, at least for me, outside of trading, and which is good because I don't think if it was earnings season, I wouldn't have much time and energy to put forth on looking through the earnings trades and putting them on. Remember to take them off, just because it's that time of year where things are busy. So in this week's episode, I thought maybe we could just take a quick run through what's been kind of cooking in our areas. I know you haven't touched on the show, but I think you've gotten to sneak a few trades in there. So what's kind of been happening on your end there, Viper?
So I'm just cranking through the new routine, if you will. The trades that I've talked about, unpacked a little bit in past episodes. Two strategies. One is the daily SPY trade, like you mentioned. That is still going and still going strong. And the second is my momentum skew vertical spread strategy. And that is going strong as well. I think I'm averaging, or I'm kind of trying to target, because again, that momentum skew strategy, from people that might remember from previous episodes, that's meant to be a law of large numbers. And I think I'm averaging 4 to 5 of those a week. So every week there's 4 or 5 of those that expire on that week's expiration. And by default, there's 4 of the daily SPY trades every week. And I've been hitting on all of those. Yeah, it's been going pretty good. Except one trade, which we'll talk about here in a little bit on the daily SPY trade. It was a FAFO trade, as the kids say. It was FAFO. And F around I did, and boy, did I find out.
Nice. So let's hear a little bit about it, because I'll touch on mine here in a minute. But when you say you had one, you can't win them all, right, Viper? I mean, was it that big of a deal? What went down?
Yeah. So there's some layers to why this. I don't want to say disappointing, because I knew what I was like. It was in the name of science, but science can be handled a little bit better. So the trade itself. Again, for those who remember or might not remember, the trade itself is very rigid. It is very structured. It is sell on the SPY only. Do a calendar spread, sell the 1 DTE, buy the 8 DTE of the at the money strike. And so again, this is just harvesting long tail risk overnight. And so I only take it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I do not take it over a holiday or over a weekend. And it's very simple in that way. And it's very productive. It is just a slow income strategy trade. basically I hit anywhere from 6 to 15% profit. I really try to push that 15% if at all possible, if the price action lets me. But I've very consistently closed these things out 6 to 15% profit, and we just roll it again and do it the next day. So the way calendar spreads work is we kind of did that cool graphic thing before, where you have your short option is the one that expires soon, and at least in a debit calendar spread. And you have your long option, which expires a week later in this particular strategy. So the one that expires the next day, there's a chance that it expires worthless. And so obviously to the premium sellers out there, that is ideal when you can get your short option to expire worthless, because that is 100% profit on that leg, well, on that option. And in this strategy, it would be 100% profit on that leg. However, because these calendar spreads are on the same strike, if one of them expired worthless, it means the other one is a ticking time bomb of worthlessness. It just has one more week until it expires. And that one is a long one. So that means if that expires, I'm actually losing money as that goes to zero. Um, so the way that this unfolded is we talked about this before. As you saw this strategy, you've commented before, calendar spreads in general you see as a way to get a discounted lottery ticket, where you sell that short, you buy that long. That long is now discounted because you collected that short. And so we kind of talked about this, and I know I directly said about this strategy, I'm curious to try the lottery ticket option, because it is not part of the strategy, but it is discretionary. And I very clearly stated, if I do that, I need to do it after I have accumulated enough wins that if this thing hits max loss, aka I lose all the money I put into it that I debited to buy it, then it knocks me down, but it doesn't take me into a total loss. It just knocks me down some wins, and that's the experiment, and that was the plan. So that plan unfolded, and it was basically a couple things that I should have done a little bit better. Maybe was not do this at SPY all time high. So I didn't realize that, because again, like both these strategies, I'm really not looking at charts too much. I'm just cranking them every day, especially the SPY trade. I'm really not looking at momentum or where we're at on the chart. It is just a daily structured trade. So I didn't really look at that until it was too late. But we were at all time high. And on day of expiration for day number one, we dropped below my strike, which was at 667. And I was like, you know what? I think we dropped to like 664. I was like, this is good. This is good. Let's just let this expire worthless and let's do the thing. Let's check this out. So the thesis, and nothing wrong with the thesis. The thesis was we're going to pull back, but the market is trending so strongly right now. Still is, but the thesis was the market's trending so strongly that within a week we should get back to my strike. Possibly the word shouldn't say that. We could get back to my strike, possibly exceed it. And it's that lottery ticket now. Once we go over 667, I start gaining value, intrinsic value starts stacking up on this. So I wanted to ride it and let's see what happens. And so ultimately what happened was, we kept dropping, and we dropped all the way down to 655, 657, somewhere in there, pretty deep from where I needed us to be. And I was like, this isn't great. And then sure enough, day of expiration comes and we got to 664. So close, but so close definitely does not cut it in an options trade when you're on expiration with a worthless option in your hands. So that expired worthless, which means max loss. I lost everything I debited to purchase the position. And the kicker of it all was that the next day, one day later, we jumped up to 673, 672, somewhere in there. Or maybe we touched on like 670, 671. So one day, and that thing would have been a pretty significant winner. But this is the lottery ticket. And I think I'm good. I don't think I need to do that again for a while. But what's interesting is there's a couple interesting things because we talk about the mentality, the emotions and things like that. So I do want to jump over here real quick to justify some of the behaviors and why I decided to take the risk. So if we look at my dashboard that I made, that I track all my charts, track all my trades in, you can see that if I scroll down here, we were trending very nicely. I mean, this was just a massive run that I was on. And now keep in mind, this is both my strategies together. It's not just the daily SPY, but it is both the strategies in tandem. I can break it down by strategy. So if we just look at the calendar spread, keep in mind this large fall from grace was the calendar spread as an earnings trade. And then around here was when I switched to the daily SPY trade. And so we were trending up. So right off this cliff, just the big loser right here. And this was also large because I also previously mentioned scaling this strategy. So I have started scaling this strategy. I mentioned before, I think the most I'm going to scale this is 10 contracts. So at this point in time, I was up to 7 contracts. And that's a little footnote to foreshadow and come back to here in just a second. So it was extra large because I was scaling that up. But honestly, as far as this sized loss, it did not feel like much. It was, and I don't mean that in like a money doesn't matter way. I mean that in a trust of the system way. Going into the experiment, I knew what was possible to happen. So from day naught, I accepted what was possible to happen. And step number 2, I waited until I had confidence in this system to undergo such an experiment. Switching back to both strategies here, I mean, this mountain was just taking off. And so, for the sake of experimentation, touching the hot stove, I did not threaten a loss, even if I closed up shop and walked away. Like, I'm still in net profit on this account in this max loss scenario. So that was obviously part of the calculus as well. And so what we see is all emotions were accounted for going into this trade. And so, yeah, there was a little bit of a bummer attitude initially. And that's because I did have a chance to step off this trade on like a 14% profit, which is on the high side. That's a relatively unusual to get this strategy at 14 or 15%. So I passed on that, and now in hindsight, maybe close half the position because I am scaling to more contracts now. Would have been nice to just close up 4 of those and let 3 of them ride or something like that, because now that's house money at that point, for the most part. So some mistakes like that were made, but the trust in the system, you can already kind of see here, immediately jumped right back into it and kept taking these trades, and we are trending back up. And we're about halfway back towards where we fell off the cliff. And falling off that cliff was not a usual loss. So I know that future losses are not expected to be that large unless there's some sort of black swan after hours event. So all in all, I got the FAFO that I came for, and I think I'm all set on doing that again. And like I said, if I do it again, it will be more constructive, closing half the position. letting just a couple contracts ride, that sort of thing. I really, really, really did not need to ride this whole position that way. That was a definite oversight on my part. But like I said, it was calculated from the get-go, and is what it is.
That's what happens when you get off the boat, man. No, just kidding. It's yeah. I've had similar things where I've tried to experiment with something and you're like, oh, ouch. But like you said, you kind of knew what the thing was going into it, and now you learned something, and it really didn't upset the apple cart. So keep on trucking back to the system.
Yep.
Yeah, Viper. So I'm going to touch on real briefly here the trade that I actually had going from last week. So while you were out, there's really not much until earnings season kicks off coming up here next week. So I think the banks kick us off towards the end of next week. And then the week after that's really when the earnings season is going to get into full swing. So I got my powder on the sideline ready to rock and roll. But, I keep my eye out for some things. And I was able to find two trades that I put on, Constellation Brands and Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines is actually still outstanding, so I'm not going to touch on that today. But right here, just as a reminder, Constellation Brands, not a super strong volatility play, but it had just enough elevated volatility that I thought I'd take it for a spin. So I decided to play this one bullish based on the price action that I saw on the chart. So I only sold the put side, about a 35 delta put, sold those for $2 a contract, 3 contracts, $600 collected. And then earnings came out on October 6th. And then 7th, I closed up the shop, was able to close those out, buying them back for 38 cents a piece. 3 of them cost me $114 to close that out. That's a net profit of $486. I had to put up buying power of about $52.50. So you do a quick math there. That's a 9% return on my capital in basically 2 days, because I put the trade on a Friday. Then it was the weekend. So even though the calendar days are there, it really was only Friday and Monday that the trade was on. So one of the things you might notice is I kind of got out of that a little bit early. There was still 38 cents. That still was well above my 50% profit target. So I really can't complain there. But I really thought this was going to be a stronger earnings move to swing it more to the upside. And so if we take a look at the chart a little bit here, what you'll see is the red box is really where I had my put on that 135 strike. The earnings was this very first big red candle. And so the underlying had kind of been building, slowly moving up. And then this red candle was earnings the day after earnings. And I got a little nervous because that day the whole market was kind of not doing super hot. And I was like, I just really don't want to roll this. I was past my profit targets. And it was the premium was kind of going up in the day because it was getting closer and closer to my strike. Still was really far, and the probability was still in my favor. So when I bought this strike back, I mean, it still was like a 20 to 30 delta. So it I still was ahead, plus the contraction. You can see if I hadn't bought it back, I'd have been really ringing the register full tilt here. But that's okay. Profit target is always 50%. I was well above that. And so I rung the register, and I can't be too sad about that. And that's my rapid fire update. Constellation Brands, like I said, Delta's outstanding. And in a couple weeks, we're going to fire off some more earnings as it kicks off. But anything else you happen to have touched on this past week, Viper?
No, that's about it. I am, market wide, getting uneasy. Is it too late, too early, probably too late to get uneasy?
I don't know.
We are turbocharging right now. So have my eyes on, concern or metrics that concern me, but to the point of a good strategy, like I said, the way that I'm playing, the strategy that I'm playing, specifically my vertical spreads, because those will be the most at risk. That if the market decides to just bottom drop out, at any given time, I'll have 4 to 5 trades at risk. But the momentum skew strategy goes both ways, so I just wait for some momentum in the downside, and then we start going again, I guess. So, yeah, other than that, just keeping my eye on the ball and trying to keep cranking it.
Yeah, I've given up being vocal about my bearish thoughts on the market because every time I share bearish thoughts, we seem to set new all-time high in the SPY or all-time high in the NASDAQ or all-time high in the Russell. And I'm like, oh man. So I haven't actually looked recently this week to see if I'm carrying more positive or negative delta. I know I was carrying very heavy negative delta, but I feel I've started to tip a little bit more positive delta with some of my holdings. So I'll keep an eye on that and we'll see what shakes out.
Yeah. I mean, I do think Warren Buffett is getting much more vocally bearish for whatever that's worth. But yeah, just, I mean, it's the same old, just, know what you're doing, to the extent that you know what you're trading, like we always talk about, and know what your max loss scenario is. And then, you just go from there.
Well, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. So hopefully you kind of enjoyed a little bit of update. If you didn't, hop in the Discord and give us a topic to cover in one of the shows and we will cover it. Whatever your little heart desires that you want to hear about, hop in Discord. Let us know what you want us to chat about on here. Let us know what you want us to look into, explore, trade, experiment with. We're happy to do so. We just got to hear it from you. So let us know. Otherwise, we'll keep up what we got going and just share what we're trading each day, week after week, and just our random thoughts on the market. And maybe that's what you want. That's why we don't get a lot of suggestions. I don't know. Either way, good luck out there. Have fun. And remember, think outside the block.